In order to overcome declutter overwhelm, I have recently made the mindset change to one shelf at a time. In the beginning of my decluttering journey, I used to think of decluttering in terms of areas, rooms, big spaces. I felt like I needed to pull everything out and go through everything at basically one time. That often led to a very overwhelming feeling. Luckily, I did not give up on my decluttering journey. I am still in the process of getting my house fully decluttered, organized, and cleaned. It's only really now, a year and a half into this journey, that I really understand how much easier the whole decluttering process is when you take things in smaller chunks. I've recommended it, I've said it, but often I don't take my own advice. For the purpose of filming, I am gonna do this whole pantry area, but I am gonna take it one shelf at a time. I'm gonna do one shelf and complete it. If it takes me more than one day, that's fine. If I take a lot of breaks, that's fine. The other thing I'm gonna do today, which is different from what I normally do when I declutter, is if something doesn't belong on these shelves, if it has a home somewhere else, I'm gonna take it there right away. I'm not gonna put everything in a box for later, because I tend to do that, and then that box sits around for however long, months sometimes. For instance, these art supplies, they don't belong here, so I'm gonna go ahead and put these where they actually belong right now. I know that seems like a really small thing just to put those art supplies away, but just doing that, I feel like it's less cluttered already. Yay! A while ago, I decided that I was not gonna buy plastic food storage things anymore. So I started using glass jars, which I find better because then I'm reusing things. The only thing that happens with that is that I get to like down to the end, and then I have this big bulky thing with just hardly anything left in it. I'm gonna condense these kind of things that, you know, just have a few things left in them. Like, look, this is like, there's hardly anything in there at all, but I have this huge jar for it. So I'm gonna go through and, you know, get all those things together. And I might have some decisions to make as far as like decluttering, because, you know, for instance, I saved this, it's plastic. I think I don't need to save this though. I like glass better. I don't know why I decided to save this, because it seemed like a good size, you know, container, but yeah, it's plastic, so I'd rather just keep glass. So I'm gonna recycle this and then wash anything that I need to wash. We'll just get to it. Since starting my decluttering journey, I've really learned a lot about myself. One major thing is decluttering items into a box to put away later equals items sit in that box for weeks, if not months at a time. So my new goal for myself is to put things into their homes right away. Even if that makes the decluttering process slower or I end up doing less, it's going to be more effective for me overall. I feel that by getting into the habit of doing things right away will help me with the other thing I learned about myself, which is I have a tendency to procrastinate. I look at things, I get overwhelmed by the thought of doing something, or I just feel like, oh, I'll do that later, or oh, that's going to take longer than I want to spend doing a project right now. So then I just leave it, and then it gets worse and more piled up. And then it's even more procrastination because I don't want to deal with it. Getting in the habit of putting things into their homes right away and completing my projects as I go is going to have a compound effect. It might take a little time to really get into the habit, but the more I do it, the easier all of it's going to end up being, because there's going to be less projects, quote unquote, to take care of. It's just going to be little tidying tasks, chores, you know, on a weekly, daily basis, and it won't be so overwhelming in general. That's my theory and hope anyway. So we will see how that plays out in the coming months. Even doing something so simple as washing and drying all of these jars right now is a big win for me. My tendency, as I had mentioned before, is to put something like this off. because I find these things mundane, boring, whatever, and I just want to feel like, oh, the shelf is decluttered, it's done, yay. But really, it's not done, because then I have this other thing looming, which is, oh, I never did wash those jars, I got to do that. And then it becomes this burden on my mind. Whereas now that I've done it, it's done. It's over. I can like not think about it and move on to the next thing. And I feel really good about that. So I'm taking these little wins and I'm going to hopefully multiply them to where things just become second nature to me. And, you know, we're talking about a lifelong habits that we're breaking. But I definitely feel like I am making huge progress, and if I can do it, anybody can do it, honestly, because if you watched my like older videos, you would know that things were a mess and I had a lot of stuff and I had a lot to overcome, and I'm still overcoming them. But man, I definitely am proud of the accomplishments that I have tackled and achieved. I guess that's a weird way to put it, but the things I have accomplished over the last year and a half. So yay, yay me. As I go through these shelves, I will definitely have some editing to do when it comes to how many empty jars I have. And I will also be able to organize things a little bit better. But for now, at least one shelf I've taken care of. And it did take me a little bit longer than I was expecting because I washed and dried all of the jars right away. For now, I'm going to take a break because I do feel like looking at all this other stuff, it gives me the feeling of overwhelm. So since this is about one shelf at a time to avoid the declutter overwhelm, I am going to take a break. And if that's all I was going to do today, that would be fine. That would be great. But I am filming a video, so I am going to come back and do more shelves today. Earlier in the week, I also took care of a few other areas that were starting to get cluttered up. I just wanted to get things under control before I had major messes to clean up. I also wanted to put away one of these side tables because I brought it out because I was using it as a desk. But I then left it out and it started to gather clutter. And as most of you know, the more surfaces you have equals the more places that clutter can build up. So I did want to go ahead and reduce the amount of little side tables I have so that I could have less surface area to clutter up. It never ceases to amaze me how quickly my art table gets cluttered up. I just decluttered this table, I don't know, like maybe a week or two ago, not even 2 weeks ago, and it's already building up with clutter. So again, I'm just jumping on things as soon as possible instead of letting things get just to where it now takes me an hour or whatever to clean up. This only took a few minutes, so I'm making progress. I'm very happy about that. And yeah, it's just about, I guess, getting better and better along the way. This little open shelf in the kitchen is also an area that I decluttered this week. It just had all of these little things that definitely didn't need to be out and so accessible, like all these pet harnesses and stuff. Like, I just don't need to have all of these sitting out. All of the mail that was sitting on that shelf ended up being recyclable. So honestly, I don't know why I had this basket full of random things sitting on that open shelf in the kitchen. It's not trash. It's all stuff that, I use or I need or whatnot. But it definitely doesn't need to be sitting on an open kitchen shelf. I mean, most of this is bathroom stuff, actually, or just stuff that does not need to be sitting on that open shelf. So yeah, I can't give you an answer as to why that was sitting there this whole time, but I definitely didn't need it to be there anymore. So we're back to the pantry shelves. My little break ended up lasting 2 days, but I'm not upset about that because overall I did a lot of decluttering this week. I did those 3 other places. Overall, big picture, I did really great, and I have to remember to pat myself on the back sometimes. It's important to take your wins along the way. Found all of this old packing material that I guess I was saving, but that's like hoarder tendencies, so I'm just getting rid of that. I am not going down that road again. And then I went ahead and I took things to their places, and that really made a big difference. Even though the homes may be needing to be decluttered themselves, at least they are out of the living room, they are back in their homes, and that is making a lot of progress for me. I put all of these boxes and paper bags that I was starting to hoard in the recycling. I do not want to go down that road again. I'm just nipping things in the bud.